Welcome to Star Medicine Podcast, your weekly source for easy-to-apply astrology, energy, and divinatory practice to deepen and expand your being experience. Hosted by intuitive astrologer and Reiki 3 practitioner Jenifer Edwards.
Hi there, stargazers. It's Tuesday again at 7 p.m. and welcome to Star Medicine Podcast. The intro is by my favorite soul with a human suit, Justin Maxwell, and the music is by the Magnifique Delco Ray out of Hollowell, Maine. I am broadcasting here from a rainy evening here in Brunswick, and I hope to give you guys the best forecast you've ever heard. We are coming into the new moon this week, so we're in the waning phase. The moon is in Mercury currently. I had a total waning moon on the IC kind of day today, and I think with Mercury stationing retrograde, all of us can kind of look at what's going on around us and realize something must be happening. Well, Mercury goes retrograde tomorrow, and Mercury retrograde happens 3 to 4 times a year depending on when Mercury is retrograde. So this is not a transit that is brand new. It's definitely one that you're probably familiar with. For people who don't quite understand what Mercury retrograde represents, stay tuned because we will talk about that this evening, as well as the new moon in Libra. This new moon is going to pack some powerful vibrations. It is going to be a part of a T-square. A T-square in astrology is when two planets are opposite each other. They're opposing each other. And that creates a lot of tension. And the two planets that are opposing each other are also creating a 90-degree square to one planet. So it creates one triangle in the chart. And so the planet that is receiving all of that energy from the squares is the apex planet. And that's the planet that reacts and receives the tense energy from the other planets that are opposing and squaring. So as one would imagine, there's going to be a lot of transformation this week. And I will begin with Mercury retrograde. So Mercury is currently in the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio is a very passionate sign. And it's a water sign. It's a fixed sign. Scorpios very rarely change their mind. They have to have their senses beaten out of them, and it needs to be their decision. And it usually is. They're usually taken to the point of no return. Hell have no fury, like a Scorpio scorned. But with that being said, when we have a passionate sign like this, and an emotional sign like this, we also start to think about how we are communicating our emotions. And this is where Mercury comes into play. We talked about this a few weeks ago when Mercury entered Scorpio. And so this is a time where we can logically evaluate our emotional eruptions, logically evaluate our obsessions perhaps, logically evaluate our passions. And this is a wonderful time, I'd like to reiterate, for people who are writers or poets or songwriters, because it's a time that you can find words for emotions that perhaps you haven't been able to express on a very deep level. Now, when we have Mercury retrograde, we start to have issues with communication. We start to not be able to convey what we're really trying to say. Not only that, but I mean, you can start putting text messages in that category. People cannot hear your voice inflection when you're texting. It's very important during this time that if you are going to have a communication with someone and it's a very touchy subject, pick up the phone and call them. Because whenever Mercury's retrograde in Scorpio, which happened last year, we start to have passionate displays. And sometimes it's dramatic and sometimes it's reactive. And usually it's because of a miscommunication. This is definitely a time to pay attention to where that office email is going to. Make sure it's not going to the entire company. And make sure that anything that you post, send, or send off into the internet universe is something that you want millions of people to see, because that's how the glitches of Mercury retrograde work. We also find that we run into mechanical issues. Our cars start to break down, or the check engine light comes on. Perhaps we have something, a trip needs to be rescheduled. This is not a wonderful time to do new things. When I discovered Mercury retrograde when I was 13, luckily, I started to realize the power of going with the energy that's provided. And so if we often decide to disregard something, that's fine. You don't have to obey the rules of Mercury or Mercury retrograde. The point is that we do whatever we're supposed to do in the moment to learn the lessons. So whatever lesson or whatever stepping stone you need to get through, the barrier you need to get through on your life path to the next step, is going to be presented in many different ways, and oftentimes it's through Mercury retrograde. So, if you find that you're in the middle of closing on a house, this is where you are. There's nothing you can do. There's lessons to be learned with this house purchase, obviously. Same thing with vehicles. Unless, of course, you purchase something back during the last Mercury retrograde this summer, which ended on July 15th, then you'll probably see things that you accomplished then come back up for reevaluation. So Mercury retrograde is a time to redo, rethink, repurpose, reconsider. It's really about looking very deeply and trying to look at old patterns. Patterns are something that come up with a lot of the astrological aspects because we have them ingrained. We learn patterns when we're infants. We learn how to love when we're children. And, depending on what the dynamic was at home, then, those are the patterns that we take on, and we don't realize it's all subconscious. And so as we get to a certain age, hopefully younger for most people, we start to really reflect on why we do the things we do. And so with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio is a very deep sign, and this is a wonderful time to really get down to your roots, to really get down to the essence of your soul and what drives you and why you have these reactions, or why you're drawn to certain things, or why you're repeating the same patterns. So this is going to be a wonderfully constructive time if you decide to use it in that way. Exes always come back into the picture during this time, but, exes come back to just let you know the reason why you left in the first place. So a lot of us will learn a lot of lessons over the next 3 weeks. Mercury will be direct on November 3rd, and of course we'll have our shadow period until November 13th. But let's talk about the new moon in Libra T-square. So the new moon in Libra is going to be occurring on Friday, October 16th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This new moon is the birthday present to our Libras. And when I'm talking about, before I continue, when I'm talking about signs and I go through the horoscopes for each sign, you may be listening for your sun sign, but really, you really should be listening to your rising sign. Unless you have a lot of planets in your sun sign, then your rising sign is where this will manifest most accurately. So moving to Libra, if you have a Libra rising or are a Libra sun, this is your birthday new moon, which is very exciting. This is going to occur at 23 degrees Libra. Whenever we have a new moon in Libra, it's all about balance. It's all about sociability. It's all about love, partnerships, who we are in partnerships. Libra rules the 7th house of the astrological wheel. No matter where it lands in your chart, it brings that energy to that space. So those are the things that we're looking at. One of the beautiful things about Libra is that Libra sees all sides of the story. Although it has a hard time making a firm decision and sticking to one thing because Libra's a people pleaser, which is, a nice thing in some ways. even though they're unable to come to a conclusion, a firm conclusion, and stand to it, they see justice, which means that they are like the tarot card justice. So they see all sides of the story before they consider making a ruling, which I think is a very beautiful attribute. So with this new moon in Libra, it's, we're going to be feeling our partnerships. We're going to be feeling who we are in our partnerships, what our role is in our partnerships, no matter where this lands in your chart. That's the under energy. And with Libra, it's about communication. So Libra is an air sign, and it loves to talk. It loves to reach out. It loves connection. And so we're going to be feeling that lighthearted energy to some extent. However, this new moon is going to have a powerful effect on all of us, and we probably are starting to feel it already. The new moon is is a part of a T-square, and the T-square has an opposition to Mars in Aries. And so Mars is currently retrograde in Aries, which we talked about on one of the first episodes of this podcast. And so when Mars is retrograde, we have a lot of stuck in the mud energy. We want to get things going, but we can't. It's almost like we have ants in our pants or a fire under us, but we're unable to get motivated. We're unable to get to our destination, so it creates a cauldron of frustration. So as Mars is retrograding, it is going to be opposing this new moon. Now, that energy just in itself is going to activate this moon. Mars will take over the energy of the moon. And this activation is going to be incredibly emotional. So, if you feel like things aren't moving fast enough in your partnerships, or you feel like things aren't moving fast enough in general, in justice, or whatever issue is currently on the table right now, you are definitely going to feel it internally and very deeply. You may actually become incensed. And that is actually one of the things that is one of the underlying energies that is happening currently now. Now, this opposition between the new moon and Mars is not only powerful, but it is going to be squaring Pluto at 22 degrees Capricorn. So the apex of this powerful transit is going to be Pluto, the planet that rules Scorpio. It is the planet of transformation. It's the planet of transmutation. And it is the planet that changes everything as we know it. So Pluto is very passionate. As a matter of fact, if you ever look at your birth chart to see how many aspects you have to the planet Pluto, will tell you if you're a Plutonian person. Plutonian person craves intense intimacy. Plutonian person craves intense feelings. They can't have light and airy in their life. They need to have powerful. If it's not powerful and deep, it's not worth the time and energy. Pluto is the planet that doesn't want us to control things. And so whenever Pluto is involved, it's really about letting go and letting the universe take the wheel. When I laugh because Pluto is a serious planet. It takes 240 years to get around the zodiac. And to have Pluto in Capricorn right now, just look at the state of our country. Pluto is knocking down barriers and giving us a new definition of how we want to move forward, and it's coming from a very deep place. I mean, we see all of this trauma coming out from from everyone who's been holding trauma. Whether people are rioting, they're rioting for their cause, but they're also rioting because something deep inside them is causing them to emit energy into a very aggressive way for their cause. There's a lot of trauma coming out. Pluto wants to have all of that bubble to the surface so we can deal with it, and it's ugly sometimes. we are used to sweeping it under the rug. And whenever we have a hardcore Pluto transit like this, you can't sweep it under the rug anymore. It is there. It is for you to deal with. So this is what it is. So we're going to have the new moon and Mars, which is the historical ruler of Scorpio, and the lower vibration of Pluto. So if Mars is passion and desire and anger, and it can be good things too, and drive, it is squaring Pluto, badass Pluto. So whatever happens over the course of the next 2 weeks, is destined to be destroyed for rebirth. And that's what it is. And so there's nothing to be scared of. Pluto wants you to know that the only thing that we know for certain that is going to happen in this lifetime is that we are going to leave this plane of existence. And once we know that nobody here, nobody around us, nobody on this planet is going to live forever. No one gets out of here alive. And we can identify that and not be afraid of that. There's nothing that you can't do. There's no fear involved after that. Everything else, is by chance. So when we worry about things happening, we're kind of manifesting them. So, keeping a positive attitude. And, here's the difference. If bad things happen, and we know this, and they happen, and we change and we grow. We all make mistakes. Things happen to us and our life completely is altered for whatever reason. We never know at the time, but when we look back at things, we see how things have altered where we are in the present time. We know bad things happen, but it's when you expect them to happen, that's what changes the energy. So I implore you to move forward with this energy and let go. Just let go. And if you can't let go, then ask yourself why. Because Mercury wants you to do that. Mercury retrograde right now with all of this energy is going to be amazing. I'm actually looking forward to see what happens. It's kind of like knowing how to navigate this energy and use it as an intense learning process rather than engaging, I guess is the way I want to put it. But let's talk about how this is going to affect each sign. Now remember, like I said earlier, please listen to your rising sign because this will tell you what houses this is going to happen in. I use the Placidus system. I do not use whole house, but this will work for whole house. And for those of you that do use whole house, this is complementary to that. So we'll start with Aries. So Aries will experience this new moon energy in the 7th house, and it will be opposing Mars in the 1st house. The square of Pluto-Saturn will be in the 10th house. So what this looks like is that this is going to be an opposition between the 7th house and the 1st house. So who you are in relationships is on the table. Who you want to be in relationships and defining your relationship is going to be the theme of the week. This could be business partnerships. This could be, your coworkers, honestly, because it is a house of open enemies. Oftentimes when we talk about open enemies, they're typically coworkers. Going to be in your 10th house of career. This is possible that whatever's going on at home will show up in your career. And it won't show up in a positive way. It could transform you. Maybe you stop going to work because of something that's going on at home. That could show up in your fame status house. So be mindful that the choices that you make are definitely going to show up in your status house. They're going to show up in your career house. Mercury for Aries is retrograde in the 8th house of your assets, your combined assets, sex, death, and taxes, and intimacy. So this could very well be about a monetary issue with your partner, who is contributing more or less, where the money is going, and who has to work for that money, and that's where the 10th house comes in. There's lots of ways that this could come out, but this is definitely about partnerships, and this is about where the money is coming from, that's for sure. Taurus, we have the new moon in your 6th house of routines, health, wellness, animals, healing, and your job, service to others. And it will be opposing Mars in your 12th house of subconscious, the unknown, mental health, addictions, all the things, our patterns, all of our mental stuff that we have subconsciously buried. The new moon is going to hit Mars. It looks like, Taurus, you might be working towards a burnout. And this will definitely come. It probably has started actually over this last weekend, but this is definitely going to come to your attention. Either that, or perhaps you've been self-medicating a little bit too much from food, alcohol, whatever your poison is. And it's going to cause you to have, it's probably going to zap your energy. You're probably not going to have enough time. Something is going to be askew, whatever that looks like. I could think of as back in the old days when I used to drink, and I had, I would wake up in the morning and I would sleep late because my body, I wasn't taking care of my body. So, I would wake up, run out the door. I didn't have any time for myself. And, as much as you keep doing that and you don't give yourself that sacred time, you're going to burn out. It's just how it works. Now, Pluto and Saturn are going to be in your 9th house of being the teacher, spirituality, foreign language, travel. With this square, the apex being in the 9th house, a lot of Tauruses are going to get sober during this transit. They're going to have to. It looks like you could have a spiritual awakening. If you get to a point where you need to just find space to do this, or to change whatever it is in your life that is killing you. It doesn't have to be an addiction. It can be, it could be anything. A horrible job, any kind of situation. But when we look to the 9th house, we're looking at like theology. We're looking at a higher power, asking a higher power for help. Our attention is towards a higher power. So this is going to come down to really physical, mental health, and really digging deep for a spiritual solution for you, Taurus. Mercury is going to be retrograding in your 7th house of partnerships. It could be a partner is a catalyst for this movement. Maybe perhaps it's time for you to let your partner go. Maybe your partner is the one that's burning you out. Whenever we have Mercury retrograde in the partnership houses, which are 8, 7, 5, 3, 11, we tend to see ghosts from Christmas past, as I like to put it. We tend to see our exes. So, especially for you, Taurus, I would not be surprised if either you're going over the same argument with your spouse, or you are hearing from someone from Christmas past. That would not surprise me one bit. Gemini, we're going to have the new moon in your 5th house, and we will have Mars opposing that in your 11th house. Pluto, Saturn, apex will be in the 8th house. So the 5th house is, the new moon will illuminate your house of new love, children, manifestation. I'm looking for a word. It's new love, true love, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But it's kind of a soulmate house, but it's not. It's a fun love house, but it's a wonderful feeling. It's like being a kid again, when you get all those vibrations. I love that feeling. So you're going to have the new moon in your 5th house, which is creativity, it's children, it's your children, it's making babies. This is the making baby house. And it's childlike joy. It's, when you were a child, and the joy that you felt when you were a child, and trying to find that joy again, sort of. And when we have the opposition with the 11th house, Mars is currently in your 11th house of social contacts, manifestation. It's the hopes and wishes house, but I call it manifestation house. And, social media, anything to do with being seen. Technology is an amazing thing. Aquarius rules this house naturally. So it's a global sort of perspective. Your acquaintances are there. It's all of that good stuff. So when we have an opposition, it could be that something that you want to create, you're getting opposition from your friends. You're unable to manifest it. I look at it as a manifestation. You're trying to manifest something into existence, and you're having an opposition to Mars. It's not happening. Another way to look at this too is for anyone who's trying to conceive. You may be having a struggle currently. If that's okay, if that's you, don't worry. Take deep breaths. If you're looking not to conceive, you might. It depends on where your feeling is. Because when we talk about Mars, it's kind of an abrasive. So it would be the opposite for someone who perhaps does not want to conceive. And then Pluto Saturn's in your 8th house of sex. So, it could be that you want to start a relationship with a friend and it's not going there. There's no intimacy, or you're trying to get intimacy. Whenever we have Pluto in the 8th house, it is a powerful, powerful transmutation. So this is going to be something for you, Gemini. You're definitely going to feel the apex either in your money. This could be revolve around debt, and you paying off your debt to fulfill your wishes. Being in a place of lack definitely is not the energy for prosperity. So if we're focusing on our lack, what do you have to do? The energy is going to be in clearing whatever is in the 8th house. So the 8th house is definitely debt. It's definitely other people's money, inheritances. It's intimacy. It's emotional intimacy and sexual intimacy with your partner, and it's also the merging of assets. It's quite possible that one of your friends owes you money. There's so many different ways to look at this, but with Pluto in the 8th house, know that whatever it is, it's changing, period. So it's going to be a great week for you, Gemini. This is going to be pretty reflective. Hopefully you give yourself some space to breathe and are able to not react emotionally off the cuff, because with this transit, once you say it, you can't take it back. And your ruler, Mercury, is retrograde, so you're kind of all out of sorts here, Gemini. Mercury is retrograde for you in your 6th house of routines and health, physical body, service to others. So, it's probably time for you to look at, better ways that you can take care of yourself, maybe on a budget. This really, I think, might be money for a lot of people. So it's important that you are really spending the money in a way that is conducive with your vitality. So, eating healthy does not have to be super expensive. And getting rest doesn't cost anything. Those kinds of things. There's free meditations online. There's things that you can look at, reevaluate your routines, and also perhaps reevaluate your job. Maybe you hate your job. This could be part of the whole debt umbrella here. We are on Cancer, and I just wanted to let everyone know that if you'd like to call in and see how this T-square is going to affect you, and you know what time you were born, feel free to call in. The number here is 323-642-1188. And I am going to go to commercial, and then when we're back, we will continue.
You are listening to Heart Over Ego Radio, a network of shows offering healing and guidance for your beautiful journey. Tune in on Mondays for the Alchemy Sisters, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern. Tuesdays, tune in and tune up. Body Awareness and Self-Care, 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Wednesdays, One for All is Love, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Thursdays, Unbound with Cynthia Martin, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. Fridays, The Witching Hour with Green Witch Village and the Alchemy Sisters, 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, and on Fridays, Rain Radio, 10 Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Saturdays, Creating Heaven on Earth, 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, and Sundays, Everyday Psychic Radio at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. This is the Heart Over Ego Radio Network.
Welcome back. I just wanted to let everyone know that if you would like to find me on the interwebs, my website is www.thankgoddess.org. You can find all my online readings, which I do face-to-face, and you receive a recording afterwards of our time together under the Services and Circles tabs. You can also find me at optimisticwellness.com. Now, optimistic is spelt with a Y because it's for our mystics. And Optimistic Wellness is a collaboration of 4 amazing women. I am so lucky to be a part of this group where we explore astrology and breathwork and meditation and divinatory practice into our daily lives. We integrate these things as a community and share our experiences, trying to, find our soul's purpose, try to, as a community, support each other in our process of growing and breaking cycles and breaking patterns. It's a wonderful place to explore different modalities and receive support from many women just like yourself. With my experience with Optimistic Wellness, we have a Slack community, which we do not use Facebook or Instagram. We have our own little community, so if you're not a part of social media, this might just be for you. And we post every day. I post my moon musings, and monthly on our membership website, I have our full forecast for the moon cycle, as well as Lydia's beautiful breath work and Shayna's amazing moon medicine meditations. We have a tarot spread activation for each month. And it's just a wonderful place to really learn and explore your inner self. We are offering a free soul retreat link. I had it on my show notes, but apparently it's not showing up. But for anyone who is interested in the free retreat link, please email me at thankgoddess@outlook.com or starmedicinepodcast@outlook.com, and I'll be happy to send you the link to that retreat. So we have left off on Cancer, and we have about 8 signs left to go. So I'm going to get going a little bit faster. But so we'll start with Cancer. Cancer, this new moon is going to be in your 4th house of home, your mother, ancestry, your lines, your lineage, that kind of thing. And it is going to be opposing Mars in your 10th house. This is about how much time at home versus how much time at work. How valuable is your time? Is working as hard as you do worth missing out on your family? This could be an issue. Or it could be getting you out of the home into the workplace. Regardless, either you're a workaholic or you can't stand your job. It's one or the other. There will be dissonance between these 2 areas. Now, the apex of this, Pluto is currently in your 7th house of relationships, and I have to tell you right now that this is where the effect is going to be. If you've been absent at home and, perhaps maybe things might get a little bit hot under the collar at work this week, it's going to come out with your partnerships. So just be aware. Just be aware that this is where the energy lies. We may be looking at patterns about how you deal with your emotions because we do have Mercury retrograde in your 5th house of childlike joy, of children, of creativity. So by not honoring what makes you happy, there are patterns here of there are patterns of communication, that communication breakdown. There are patterns of not being able to, of burying yourself in work, just completely shutting down. And so Cancer, you're going to see a lot of movement in the big heavies of your chart. This is going to be an interesting week for you, Cancer. Leo, we're going to have the new moon in your 3rd house of communication, of siblings, of your, the way that you think. It's sort of the way that you learn. and also being the student. And then Mars is going to be opposing that in the 9th house. So this might be coming across, some information around something that changes your view completely. A good example would be I'm just using this as an example, but say you are part of the Catholic Church, and you have been for, your entire life, and you're 25, and then all of a sudden you realize that your strict Catholic parents are not living by the word that they preach, right? It will blow your mind, okay? This is just a good example of seeing things in a way that you never knew existed. And so perhaps you're seeing something about a spiritual practice that you are part of that you're not digging, or you're seeing the truth, And whenever we have gurus, there will always be power involved. So just know that, you are your own guru. And everything revolves around love, as corny as that sounds. So if something is not love-centered, take a deep look at what you're doing. And this very well could be what shows up. Also, 3 and 9 is about teacher-student. So this could also have to do with, you completely changing what you want to do with your life and perhaps gaining the education in order to move in that area. Maybe some of you are thinking about going to school. Maybe some of you are thinking about quitting school. This is where the energy is going to show up. Certainly, siblings are involved as well. So, kind of pay attention to that. Leo. Now, the apex of this is in your 6th house of service to others. So this could manifest as not being able to find, not having your job work with you for a class schedule, and now you're at a crisis point of what are you going to do. This could manifest as you have been working too hard and neglecting your body. This could manifest as, taking a turn for the healing modality, because the 6th house is the house of the healer. My son is located in the 6th house, and that's what I do. I'm a healer. So 6th house definitely turns on our ability, or turns us to the ability to heal. Everybody has the ability to provide energy medicine. It just comes more natural to some people than others. So this could definitely be activated by the apex with Pluto in the 6th house. Mercury is going to be retrograding your 4th house. You are definitely going to be looking at your living situation, and perhaps old issues will resurface about family matters. So, if you had a floor installed back during the last retrograde, you're probably going to notice some leaking issues, or something's going to have to be redone, whatever it is. Could definitely be in this energy. It could be an old issue coming back to the surface under our roof. Virgo, we're going to have the new moon in our 2nd house. So this is the 2nd house of self-worth. This is the 2nd house of earned income, prosperity, insecurity. So we're going to have the new moon there, which is a wonderful illumination, but it's going to be opposing Mars in your 8th house. Maybe you're making good money, but you're not getting the money you need now. Whenever we have Mars there, it is definitely, most people it's for money. It could be, receiving from your partnerships because you are codependent. Your codependency could come up because in order for you to be able to feel worthy, you need to have reciprocation from your partner, and that is definitely something that you'll need to look at during this Mercury retrograde if that is the case. However, it's possible that it's directly monetary, and looking at your means of income, how you are doing this, whether you feel you are getting what you're worth. If you are not getting what you're worth or what you feel you're worth, look at why. Look at how you can make yourself feel worthy, because we do not receive when we do not feel worthy. Now, the apex here is in the 5th house of creativity. So my guess is that there's probably a lot of stress around money and doing something that is creative and transforming your idea of what creativity looks like. I used the example last week about the artist who is painting lighthouses, and they're only doing it to receive money, and they're afraid to paint what they love because they're going to starve. And so this aspect would say, wake up, paint your bananas and flowers. If that's what you love to do, that's what you need to do. It's going to destroy everything until you do what makes you happy. It's just how this transit works. It's not a bad thing. It's just that whatever you're doing for creativity or for childlike joy, like if you aren't getting enough childlike joy, Pluto tears down to rebuild. Whatever is in there is not working and does not serve you. So it needs to go. Mercury will be retrograding in your third house of communication. Virgo, Mercury is also your ruling planet. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. So you're going to be definitely feeling this in your short distance travel. You're going to be feeling this with your siblings, with your communication. Like I said at the beginning of the hour, make sure, if you're going to have a heavy conversation, pick up the phone and call, because no one can tell your voice inflection on a text message or an email. It's very easy to misunderstand someone and cause a much bigger problem, especially with the retrograde in Scorpio. Libra, we are going to have the new moon in your first house, like we talked about. So this is your birthday moon. This is so exciting, and this is your manifestation cycle over the next 6 months. All signs, this is a manifestation cycle for the next 6 months that will end at the full moon in Libra in the spring. So we will be seeing that. I believe it's April 22nd, but I could be wrong. So whatever we set for intentions now is what we are going to see the fruits of our labor come this spring. So Libra, your birthday month, this is going to be in your first house of self, and it's going to be opposing your seventh house. This really has to do with who you are in your relationships. What's your role? What am I doing? And, who are you and who are you going to be? And it's very cool to see you as well. It's going to be a difficult time to be who you truly are, and know that if you are not embraced for who you truly are, you're not in the right relationship. So codependency no more. There's definitely going to be some codependency patterns coming up for Libras, and maybe with their partner, not just with them. The apex of this is going to be your fourth house of home. So this is really going to be under your roof. This is going to be about your family. This is going to be a lot of tension there. It's impossible to salvage when bridges are burned. So it's one of those transits where, you can get some deep healing within yourself, but you can't change other people. And that's just how that works. The only healing that begins with us is the healing that needs to happen. And Mercury is going to be retrograding your second house of earned income, self-worth, and prosperity. So how you make money is going to be on the table. Making sure that you can get to your employment, that's going to be huge. There's going to be a lot of barriers, and really reflecting on what you want to do with what you want to do to receive income. To make sure that you are feeling secure. Because if you're not feeling secure, you want to look at what security means to you, and so that's where the deep reflection is going to be. Scorpio, we're going to have the new moon in your 12th house of secrets and subconscious and deep patterns. This is a wonderful moon placement, because this energy is going to fix a lot of things for a lot of people who use it in the right way, especially Scorpio. Scorpio, the new moon will be in your 12th house. Mars is opposing this in your 6th house. So this is really about, this is looking like it's the opposite of Taurus, right? So this is about addictions. This is about, what causes you to do things, looking very, very deeply at patterns. If you wanted to do past life regressions, this is a wonderful time to really, really understand your biochemical dynamics that make you do the things that you do. We are filled with judgments because we absorb them as children, and like I said before, as babies, we absorb the energy of the stuff that's going on around us, and how we perceive love is a direct reflection of the relationship of our parents. If our parents are awful to each other, then that's how we think our relationship should be. So, then when you're 22 years old and you're repeating the same relationship pattern because you're dating your father, it becomes apparent that there's a pattern that needs to be broken and there's some healing that needs to be done. And so whenever we see stuff in the 6th and 12th house opposing each other, it demands reflection and healing. And so you shall receive that. Not only that, you probably have some secret illuminated to you, and definitely if you have a secret you're keeping, that will be on the table. So tread lightly, Scorpio. The 3rd house, which is where the apex, where Pluto is going to be located, that is about your communication and how you communicate your needs. Also, it has a lot to do with how, this could be a familial thing. This could be with your siblings because it's the 3rd house. But I really think that if you take pen to paper during this transit, you are going to have some powerful insight that will come fast and furious, and you can put down. I will tell you right now, Scorpio, you will not be able to take back anything that you text. So, I have a lot of Scorpio energy. I understand how that energy works. So, reflect inward. Do not project. How's that? And Mercury will be retrograding your 1st house. So, this is really taking a look at who you are, how you are projecting yourself to other people, and why you react to energy the way that you do, why you react to the outside world the way that you do. This is a wonderful growing place for Scorpio. It's wonderful medicine. Sagittarius, this is going to be in your 11th house. The new moon will illuminate your 11th house of friendships, social contacts, hopes, and wishes. So this is a wonderful moon for manifestation for you, Sagittarius. So if you want to work on calling it all in over, starting the intentions now, will create abundance or whatever you're looking to manifest over the next 6 months. Just a subside of this, manifesting things into your life. You're like, I want a car. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. That's not what this whole thing is about. Manifesting has to do with attracting the next right thing to help you achieve your soul's purpose, or it be in alignment with your soul's purpose. If that is, a Lincoln Continental with what's his nose in it, then so be it. But I mean, chances are pretty good that it's not a yacht. But, if that's a part of your life's purpose, who knows? But whenever we focus on manifesting, Sagittarius, we can focus on how we want our energy to be, what kind of things we need as tools to come into our life to kind of give us some credit for what we're doing or affirmation for what we're doing. I'm not thinking of the word that I want. But anyhow, so Sagittarius, we have the 11th house of manifestations, and we have Mars in your 5th house. It could be that you want to have a baby and you're trying really hard. And Pluto is in the 2nd house of self-worth. So, there's a lot of emotions in this particular area. And then you're going to have Mercury, of course, retrograding your 12th house. This is definitely about children, and this is definitely about childlike joy, and this is definitely a moon about really looking at what you want to create in this world. If you do have children, how you want them to experience this lifetime. And wanting them to experience childlike joy. Maybe you're in a situation that is not working. This would be the time to definitely reevaluate that. With Mercury retrograding your 12th house, this is about breaking patterns for sure. I cannot stress that enough. And then we will move to Capricorn, who will be experiencing this new moon in their 10th house of career, status, and fame. And the opposition will be Mars in the 4th house. So Capricorns, I'm just going to take a stab here, because Capricorns are workaholics. So chances are you are being a workaholic and and it's coming out in the home, or you're feeling stressed between work and home, and the apex, which Pluto is transiting your first house, so it is changing who you are, who you are in relationships, who you are to the outside world. That's what the first house represents. So with Pluto being at 22 degrees Capricorn, you are not the same person as when this transit began, which I think it began in 2004. So it's been a strange time for Capricorn, and I'll tell you, you are a completely different soul. That's for sure. When we talk about the 11th house Capricorn, we're going to have Mercury retrograde there. So we're really going to be looking at who we have surrounding us and supporting us for friendships. Perhaps you're looking at removing social media because it doesn't make you feel good anymore, which, I highly recommend. And also your hopes and wishes. You're probably, because of all the changes that you've been experiencing, especially with the Pluto-Saturn conjunctions of last year and this year, and Jupiter being in Capricorn currently, you are really sort of becoming hip to what your soul really wants instead of what you think you're supposed to do, which, when we reach that point in our lives, the whole floodgate opens up, right? The angels begin to sing. So we have 8 minutes left. I think I can get through Aquarius and Pisces. It looks like I probably won't be able to take any calls tonight, so I'm sorry to say that to the people that are waiting. I would like to move on to Aquarius. Aquarius, this new moon is going to be in your 9th house. So this is the house of the teacher, spirituality. It's the house of law. It is the house of foreign language and foreign travel. And it is going to be, this new moon is going to be opposing Mars in the 3rd house. This is really a teacher-student type of thing. Whenever I see an opposition between the moon, which is emotion, and Mars, which is passion, with Mars retrograde, it's like knowing what you want to do and not being able to do it, not being able to communicate it, not being able to get the words out, because our 3rd house is our communication house. Our 3rd house is the writer, the house of the writer, the house of the blogger, the house of the podcast. It's the way we think. It's the way that we comprehend information. And so with this opposition, it's almost as if we are putting the pieces together, but Mars is because Mars is retrograde, we're stuck in the mud. And then we have the apex of this Pluto-Saturn. Well, it's really Pluto. We have the apex of Pluto in the 12th house. All the energy is going to be going there. So this could be a massive breakthrough from tension of not being able to communicate. This is going to be a massive breakthrough for you psychologically. So this is going to be a time of profound reflection. Profound. It also could be another thing where, I was really into Kundalini Yoga, and when I found out about Yogi Bhajan and his dealings and, what had gone on through the years, and that the traditions that he brought with him, he had tampered with some of those, and it had really shaken my core, because I practiced a lot. And so now I find myself sifting through the teachings to figure out what is legitimate and what is tampered with. And so this is kind of like that spiritual smack of the guru. Wherever there is a guru, there's power. And wherever there's power, there's Pluto, and Pluto destroys. So, if someone has power over somebody, you really got to look at, why that is, why they want that control. And you are your own guru, under the universe of love or the religion of love. For you, Aquarius, you're going to have Mercury retrograding your 10th house of career. So, it might be time that you start considering a proposition that you had, an offer that you had over the past few months. Maybe someone from your past will show up and offer you a new position. Maybe a position that you got looked over for becomes available again. If this is the case, then go for it because it's been offered to you before. It's not a new position. Going for a new position during Mercury retrograde, I hesitate to say go for it just because, the chances of that, perhaps that position existing in a few months, may not be there. So, taking something new isn't always great. You definitely, after a while, don't feel like you love it. I actually stayed at a job for 14 years that I took during a Mercury retrograde, and it was the most toxic environment I had ever been at in my entire life. Anyhow. And finally, Pisces, the fishies. Here we go. 4 minutes left. Let's save the best for last. So Pisces, you're going to have this new moon in your 8th house. So the 8th house, as we talked about, is emotional, intimacy, sex, death, and taxes, other people's money, windfalls, your debt, those types of things. It's other people's money, and it is the amalgamation of your assets with your partner's assets. So we'll have a new moon there. So, on a lighter note, play the lottery, Pisces, because you may win some money. It's a good transit to do that. It's going to be opposing the 2nd house. So this Mars in the 2nd house will be opposing the new moon. There's going to be some resentment energy. Maybe perhaps you're making more money than your partner, or your partner isn't contributing. There's something about financial or fiduciary issues. It could also be about intimacy issues, your self-worth, because you are unable to be intimate, or perhaps your partner is unable to open to you fully and you feel like it's because of you, those kinds of things. The apex of this tension is going to come out in the square of Pluto in your 11th house of hopes and wishes. Now, write down exactly what you want out of your relationship, if you're in one or if you want one. I want you to write down everything that you want in a partner, okay, and everything you want in a relationship. And I want you to look at that list every single day until the full moon. And I'll be on again before the full moon. But I want you to say it out loud. Use your throat chakra. And as you're saying these wishes, say it with knowing, with being, with purpose that it's going to happen, okay? Because when we call out what we want, we stand in our power, those things happen. And the things that are not in alignment with what our purpose is will be removed. And that's what Pluto does. So, state your power. Mercury is retrograde for you in your 9th house. This is the house of law, the house of the teacher, foreign travel, foreign language, and theology and spirituality. And so, you may be looking back over, when I say law, I mean this is the courts. So, if you're having a court case, this might be coming back. It's also possible that you're looking over, agreements. Looking at the fine noting that perhaps you didn't notice before, but also, really looking at your spiritual practice or your lack of spiritual practice, as a matter of fact. This is a really tense transit for Pisces because, they feel very deeply, as all the water signs do, all the signs do, but, Pisces is the big feeler. It owns the 12th house of the subconscious. It's before you leave your body and to be reborn into the 1st house. So, for you to find a spiritual practice, if you don't already have that, if all you're doing is escaping your body through substances, which most Pisces do, that needs to stop and really, really pay attention to your connection with the universe, because when you numb your body, you are definitely numbing yourself from receiving divine wisdom. And, that is my dissertation. But with that being said, whatever you choose to do, I hope it makes your heart happy. So that wraps up our time together tonight. We have 43 seconds. So I am just going to say, thank you so much for listening. And thank you for allowing me to share my gift, and it makes me incredibly happy and full of gratitude and humble to be able to come here and talk about astrology and help people learn how to navigate the stars and use the star medicine to their advantage to enhance their lives. This is a dream of mine, and I'm so happy that all of you are listening. I'm sorry I couldn't get to your calls. We will do it next week. Until next time, sending you all my love.